name's Michelle. I'm Brett.
I think they chose me and Holly as well because we don't live in Havelock, so we don't have the pleasure of voting here, but we both love Havelock, so it's our pleasure to be here. Some people say I look like Clint Eastwood. I don't think I do. But part of the reason I was chosen is because I'm the enforcer. So I will be keeping all of the candidates at a very strict time limit. So if you hear me being hard on them, that's intentional. Your candidates tonight, and some of you know them all, some know just some of them, but Tyrone Canty, Clinton Jones, Michelle Leo, Karen Lewis, Joshua Moderns, and Brenda Wilson. We also have up here on the stage Mayor Lewis. Since the mayor is running unopposed, he has very graciously agreed to not take all the questions with all of the other candidates, in that we have 6 candidates for only 2 slots. So it takes a lot of time to do that. So he will not participate in the questions, but at the end, after they have done their closing comments, he will then be given time and he'll give you his vision on what's going to happen and all. So he'll have a chance to talk at the end, but he didn't want to hog the time from the candidates because you're here to get to know them. So that was our intention. Now, your instructions, and everybody gets instructions. Candidates have worked hard to prepare for this evening, and they'll be under enough pressure without any distractions from the audience. We want to be fair to all of them, and we want your fellow citizens to be able to hear every word. So please be as quiet as you possibly can for the next 2 hours. Turn your cell phone off and pagers off or put them on silent, please. You will hear some comments that you like and agree with, and some with which you don't agree. No groans, no moans, no poking the person next to you and saying, "Did you really say that?" That is not allowed. If you make noise, if you disrupt the proceedings, I will personally direct you to leave this room. We want the candidates to be heard, so let's keep it very respectful and allow them to chat when they have their time. Since we have a lot to hear, I'm going to ask that you not applaud until the end, until all the questions have been asked, the closing comments have been made, and then I will tell you, and let's get them all at that point, a round of applause. Otherwise, we just take time, which means they have fewer questions, which means you learn less about each of the candidates. They have all been given time constraints, and they understand what they are, and we will signal to them when their time is about up. But I want you to know what the times are too, so you're not disappointed or you're not thinking that they're trying to dodge a question and comments. They'll be given 2 minutes each for opening comments. They will be given 90 seconds to respond to questions. They will be given 2 minutes for their closing comments. We drew names to decide who would go first. They're in the order now that you will hear them start and respond. So they'll go right down the line, and I will read the question to each of them so they understand exactly what the question is. They'll have their 90 seconds, and then we'll pass on to the next person and go all the way down. Then at the end, when we do the closing comments, we'll reverse the direction. And the person who started first will be last, and the person who started last will be first, just to make sure they all have a good chance. We've received your written questions, and we thank you all for submitting questions to us. Many of them are fairly similar or on the same topic, so they have been blended together, so you won't hear the question as you wrote it, and you may not hear yours at all because of the time constraints, but you will probably hear your question but blended with someone else's. So please don't wait for your name to be called off. This question is submitted by, because I'm not going to do that. Candidates have been asked to remain after the forum, so we will finish at about 8 o'clock, but they're willing to stick around for an hour. So if you have particular questions you would like to ask them that were not asked during the panel, they will be here for you. We have coffee in the back, cookies, and some, I think it's lemonade and some tea, so you're welcome to stay here and ask them questions, but please don't hog their time. So if you want to go up there and talk about the weather or something, save that. Ask them stuff about what's really important tonight, but they will be here for an hour afterwards. You're going to select your commissioners and your mayor for 4 more years. So take the time tonight to really get to know them, and then do some serious studying and go out and vote. Early voting starts on the October the 20th, or if you want to wait and vote on the real day, November the 8th. You can look at the website. It's got all the information, hours, and everything else, but please do that. So now it is time for us to begin, and we are going to start our opening statements with Ms. Michelle Lee.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Thank you so much for coming. It's great to see a great crowd here. Thank you. I am Michelle Leo, who loves our community and Havelock, and some of you will maybe remember a gentleman that used to say, our Havelock. So this is my Havelock that I have lived here for 30 years, lived and worked here for 30 years. So I am very community-minded, responsible, compassionate, forward-thinking, proactive, tenacious, and seek opinions of others. As I say, I've lived here for 30 years, and despite the fact of being from New York, I have slowed down and southernized. And I love the pace here, and I love Havelock. I became involved very, very shortly after I moved here, and I've always said that because I pay taxes, I want to be involved, and I think that that should be a reason why most of us would get involved. I am so active that sometimes, well, actually, I, a long time ago, had a card made that says professional volunteer. When I went into one of the businesses to ask if I could put a sign out, they asked if I changed my card from professional volunteer to candidate, which I have. And I've been involved with a lot of things, with committees and volunteering and the chamber member. And I am very adamant about going to the city commission meetings. They are very important, and that's where you learn what the city does for us. So thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Tyrone Canty, if you would please, sir.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, everyone. My name is Tyrone Canty. I am one of the several candidates up here running for the Havelock City Commissioner position. My bio is in the readout of the one that are viewing via social media, live stream. I am a product of the Carolinas, South Carolina, so please don't hold that against me. I grew up in a small town on a farm, so the meaning of working from dawn to dusk is not a new concept to me. My father basically instilled in me a very strong discipline and a strong work ethic, and I also worked in the community that I lived in when I was in South Carolina. I graduated high school from South Carolina. I joined the United States Marine Corps. That's where I served for 30 years in 13 different commands here in the state and across and overseas in Iraq, Afghanistan, Korea. I'm a graduate of Park University here at Cherry Point with a bachelor's of business, bachelor of science in management and human resource. So I believe in basically giving back to the community. My wife and I, we basically moved here in 2007 from overseas via the military. And we've seen our 3 children, three of our children graduated from Havelock High School. One is currently in college, and one is in Havelock High School right now. On top of that, I'm a band parent, so I support the Havelock Marching Band. And in addition to that, I'm also a part of the Moffett Point Parade. So I do appreciate your opportunity to be up here to speak to you today for you all to get to know me. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Joshua Myers, please, sir.
Good evening. Excuse me. If you could change one thing about Havelock to make it a better place to live for you and your family, what would it be? I asked this to some of our residents here in town, and I have received many different ideas, thoughts, and opinions. You're probably thinking right now about a few ideas that you do have yourself. And that's why we're here tonight. You have ideas and thoughts that you would love to see for Havelock. And that's a good thing, because what it shows that you care and appreciate where you live, and that you want to see our town prosper. I'm here tonight as well because I, too, have thoughts and ideas for Havelock. But I'll be honest with you, all of my thoughts and ideas and all of your thoughts and ideas, they're not all going to come to pass. But the thing is, I want to hear them. I want to be your liaison and your voice with this city. Yes, I am new to the city. I've been here now for 3 years, but I love this town, and I want to see it grow. What made me love Havelock? The town. I love the small town feel, the community aspect, as well as its residents. We moved here to be closer to family and be part of a real community, and that is what has transpired. And I realize the potential and the impact that Havelock can have on eastern North Carolina, and I would love to be a part of that impact, as well as that with our future. So I'm excited for this opportunity to be the voice for young families, as well as those who have been here for many years. So thank you very much for your consideration for Havelock City Commissioner.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Clinton Jones, please.
Good evening. I'd like to thank the Chamber for this opportunity to host this event, and also the Chamber Director for opening up in prayer. That's a very important thing that I think that we need in our lives. You know what? I joined the Marine Corps in '99 from Cleveland, Tennessee, and found myself being stationed in this little town that someone had to point on a map and say, where in the world is that? Or where in the world is Havelock, as some people would say. And I wound up at Cherry Point. Being here at Cherry Point, I was a young Marine serving, working underneath some of you, the faces that I see out there now. Being there and being a part of it and growing. When I exited the Marine Corps, I said, I want to plant my family here. I want to plant my life here. I began to be a part, volunteering in this city, volunteering and being a part of the Christmas Parade Committee, being a part of the 4th of July event, being a part of our church, the Military Family Appreciation Day that we put on, being active in that. And you grow in this place. Someone will tell me and say, what about Havelock? What do you love about Havelock? Well, it's where I've raised my family. It's a great place to live. Josh has a great question of what do you want to see in this city? What do you want to see grown in this city? I've been here and seen a lot happen before we even had a Waffle House. Those are very important things. Before we even had a Walmart. I was there at the night, the city commissioners meeting, that the DOT came through and talked about what Havelock would have, what would happen to Havelock once the DOT builds the bypass through Havelock. And they said growth, because it enables accessibility to an area. That made my heart leap, that we have growth in Havelock. So I would really appreciate the opportunity tonight to prove to you that I want to be a commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Mrs. Wilson, please.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm so thrilled to see so many here. This is my 3rd one, and we've never had this great of an attendance. Thank you for caring about Havelock, because that's why we're up here, is we're caring about Havelock. It's wonderful that the Chamber has put this event together, and many of you do know me, but one of the things I truly believe in is servant leadership. And I've lived in Havelock for 44 years. I think I've got everybody beat. My children grew up here, and just as they said, they went to Havelock schools, and I truly have always been an ambassador for our town because I'm a realtor. And I sell people's dreams, and when doing that, I tell them about the schools, I tell them about what I love about Havelock. As a servant leader, I've also served
on the Board of Trustees and the Foundation for 24 years for Creighton Community College. That's a huge asset for our community. We as citizens need to sell the opportunities that are given to our students right here in Havelock. They're able to go and get a degree from NC State and never have to leave our campus. So people need to learn more about what we have. We have some great things. Our Parks and Rec department, we provide lots of activities for our young people. We have our senior center that provides activities for our just older youth. And so it's part of me that wants to see our city grow. I was part of the chamber for many years and served as the president twice. I helped found the Military Affairs Committee that honors our military. I was on the original committee for that. I served on the first North Carolina Advisory Commission for Military Affairs. I was appointed by Governor Easley at the time, and that has now gone on.
Thank you, Mrs. Lewis.
A red card.
Mrs. Lewis.
I hope not to go that long. I also am very excited about being here tonight, and I'd like to thank all of you for coming out. Brenda's correct. This is also my third time of doing this, and I have served for the last 10 years being one of your commissioners, and I absolutely love it. I love the way our town has grown. It's changed. It's a great place to raise your family and your children. All of my kids went through the Havelock High School and all graduated from here. Some of them moved away, but they all came back and they are now serving in Havelock as well. I truly believe that Havelock is moving in the right direction. As any municipality, we all have issues and challenges before us, but none that we cannot come together. I want nothing more than to see Havelock flourish and grow. I am very confident that as a team, the mayor, commissioners, city manager, our department heads, and you, the citizens of Havelock, that make this happen. We have tackled each challenge head on, and we do the best that we can for the citizens of our great city. I am not going to make a bunch of campaign promises, only one, that you can rest assured that I will approach all matters with an open mind, listening to all sides, seeking the Lord's guidance and making each decision which would be right for you. I need the people's input, so I'm very pleased to see that so many of you have come out and given that, submitted your questions. So in doing so, I am asking for your support and re-election to the upcoming seat as commissioner. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Lewis. And now we'll start the questions. To remind the candidates, you'll have 90 seconds to respond to the questions. And Ms. Holly here is going to give you the yellow 30 seconds left and the red 10 seconds, just as a reminder. Ms. Leo, we'll begin with you. First question is, as a commissioner, which infrastructure issues facing the city would be your highest priority and why?
My highest priority would be to enhance Route 70, the whole corridor, with changes in the buildings that are abandoned. Infrastructure, we have to go forward with everything that we need to do to make Havelock grow, not only in the community, but so that we can grow with what's coming to us, the traffic that's going to be coming through us from the bypass. I really believe that the bypass is not going to be as detrimental as everyone thinks if we can help grow Havelock. Okay, I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Leo. Mr. Canty, as a commissioner, which infrastructure issues facing the city would be your highest priority and why?
Thank you very much for the question. One of my top priorities would be infrastructure. I really do believe we need to have focus on a drainage system here in the city of Havelock. The amount of rain that we actually receive and the amount of water that's basically on the road is basically staring us in the face and can be hazardous to a lot of the drivers that are coming through here. You know, we have 18-wheelers that are basically trucking through as well. And God forbid, it's one of them where hydroplane, we have a pile of accident here in the city. Not to say that the city cannot handle it. I've seen the local law enforcement, when we do have an accident on the street, they're there on the spot. So I would definitely look at the drainage system here in the city of Havelock. Sir.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Montes,
Yes.
as a commissioner, which infrastructure issues facing the city would be your highest priority and why?
Absolutely. I was going to say drains is one big one, especially with the last rains that we did receive. But another thing I would say is also the roads. There's a lot of the roads that need the fixing with the roads. There's potholes. I've hit potholes before with my car driving down the road, down certain roads as well too. And that's going to be something that's a danger for cars driving down the street as well. And that's something, the safety issue is going to be there with that, to keep those infrastructures, to keep them safe for people traveling, to keep them driving down, and making sure that it is something that is not going to cause more issues to a car. Or say a visitor comes into town, hits a pothole, they're not going to want to come back. Hey, that town's full of potholes. Something we want to fix to bring them, to keep people here and to show, hey, we take care of our property and it is something that we do have and we do care about. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Jones, as a commissioner, which infrastructure issues facing the city would be your highest priority and why?
Straight off the top, I believe that the most important infrastructure thing we can do is to protect Cherry Point, the encroachment upon the base, to take care of Cherry Point and keep it alive and to keep Brack away from Cherry Point. I believe that we can take care of some things. The previous council has done a great job at some of the water drainage issues, but Cherry Point, I believe, is something we need to protect. The infrastructure around there, the buildings around it, the things going on that in our city here that we need to lively up. The Appearance Committee has done a tremendous job at working at some of the stuff going on in the city, but we have lots of vacant buildings. Lots of vacant buildings that are empty, that are not, taxes aren't being paid or generated by that. Businesses don't stay. We need that infrastructure in our city for that income to come in and protect our city and to protect Cherry Point.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Mrs. Wilson, as a commissioner, which infrastructure issues facing the city would be your highest priority and why?
Well, one of the issues that we've been addressing is the West End extension, utilities in that direction for growth. Havelock has always been somewhat bordered by the water, the forest, the base, and we don't have a lot of areas to grow. With the bypass, we're going to have areas opening up to us. We need to have the infrastructure to provide for those areas so that developers will come and they will tie in and we will have a larger tax base, which will help grow our citizens. It will help grow the number of citizens. It will help grow our ability to do more things for our citizens. So I think growth is something Havelock's needed for a long time, and the potential is here.
Thank you, ma'am. Mrs. Lewis, as a commissioner, which infrastructure issues facing the city would be your highest priority and why?
They've all had very good points, and without a doubt, infrastructure is one of our biggest concerns. Sewer, we have made great strides with that. We have 2.8 million gallons worth of water that we run through our sewer lines every day, and water lines to bring to you people. But in order for us to grow, we do need to continue to, Weston, as she has mentioned, to continue that growing and tying into us. We need to get the businesses to be willing to come to Havelock, want to be part of us, and possibly even willingly annex in and become part of the family of Havelock. I'm very confident that we will continue doing that. We have been very successful on department heads. For the last 8 years, have worked tirelessly in getting those things accomplished. Our drainage system is better than it's ever been, and I'm very pleased with all that they've done. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lewis. The second question, Mr. Canty, we will begin with you. What suggestions do you have to increase community involvement and make Havelock a more engaging place for everyone, whether stationed here, owning property, or visiting?
On that, I would recommend that we do a lot more of the concerts that we've been basically doing in the park. Open it up to different broad variety in which they have been doing so. Getting the local churches involved in the community action as well. We have a great church-based, spiritual base here in Havelock, and we do a great ecumenical service every Thanksgiving. Not since COVID, but before COVID, the churches used to come together and as a great body of believers here in Havelock, and we would actually commune together as a body and basically talk about where we can actually grow the city. Now, there is growth coming here with the bypass opening up. I believe that because 30 years ago down the road, a place called Jacksonville, North Carolina, I only know 3 roads there. Highway 17, Western Boulevard, and Jewel Boulevard. And with the bypass that came to Jacksonville, the amount of business that increased in that area was substantial. So with the bypass coming, I do believe that will basically help Havelock grow, potential growth.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Mons, what suggestions do you have to increase community involvement and make Havelock a more engaging place for everyone, whether stationed here, owning property, or visiting?
Absolutely. One thing I would say that was great that we had recently was the community cleanup, and was able to be a part of that, bring my family as well and do that. And I think doing that more often, getting the community involved in the cleanup of the city, take pride. This is our city. We live here. Why not? Why wouldn't we want to help our city grow and to watch our city stay clean and be a place that people want to come to? Plus, another thought as well too is neighborhood cleanups. Have a goal. Hey, you're certain neighborhoods. Let's have a cleanup. Just get together as a neighborhood. Get to know your neighbors and clean up your. Be part of the neighborhood. How many people here don't even know their neighbor or know the person that's kitty corner to where they live? Plan it with your neighborhood to hey, let's get together. Let's do a cleanup of our area. Let's do a cleanup of other areas, or get our neighborhood to let's go this section of the city and let's just be a neighborhood and do this. And that would be something I would say that would increase that community involvement, because then we're going to get to know each other and we'll see each other in the store. Hey, we were in the cleanup together, or hey, I cleaned. You get to talk and you get to have that camaraderie with your neighbor here in the city.
Thank you very much. Mr. Jones, what suggestions do you have to increase community involvement and make Havelock a more engaging place for everyone, whether stationed here, owning property, or visiting?
Stay, play, and live in Havelock. This is a great place to live, as it is. There's not a lot to do, but we need to change that by involvement of open for business. Havelock is open for business. Bring the business here of, why can't we have a Mac Daddy's? Why can't we have a bowling alley? Something that's active. Something that's going on for folks to do from all ages. Things can happen that we can be out and be a part of our city, our community, from being a part of the Chili Cook Fest and walking around and seeing some that's happening there. Social media helps us out with this. The sign at the City Hall that tells us our water bill is due is great, but it's nice when it says Chili Fest is coming or National Night Out is coming. Those are great events. The activity. Tonight, most of you probably got an alert from the Havelock website or from the app saying Candidates Forum. Those are great things that we need to incorporate into our city. Advertisement, media, But I believe the most important thing is Havelock is open for business so that we can attract those other places that let them know that, hey, people stay in Havelock. People live in Havelock. Keep our money in Havelock. We go to New Bern and Moorhead for so many things. We should stay and play and live in Havelock.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Mrs. Wilson, what suggestions do you have to increase community involvement and make Havelock a more engaging place for everyone, whether stationed here, owning property, or visiting?
I have never had a day that I couldn't think of some place that I could help in this town. We have so many committees, and when we have board appointments to them, sometimes we don't have but one person to select from. We need people to volunteer. We need people to volunteer even here at the chamber. They need help. Always putting on events here. We have, just as you said, the Chili Festival, and without a doubt, I love those people because I'm one of those people that put it on. I was in charge of volunteers, and I was begging for volunteers. We need to help each other. But the people who came out and volunteered said, sign me up for next year. They had such a great time. And even our city manager, he had never experienced a chili festival, and he's already signed up for next year. Our Christmas parade is coming. That is a huge event for Havelock. We have a committee. We need floats. We need marchers. We need our community involved. It's great to have your children out there. We have events at the city park, and one of the things that is actually kind of sad. Maybe 100 people. And here I go again with the red card, y'all.
It means you have 10 seconds left. Thank you, Mrs. Wilson. Mrs. Lewis, what suggestions do you have to increase community involvement and make Havelock a more engaging place for everyone, whether stationed here, owning property, or visiting?
That's the main thing, get involved. I mean, it's almost as though we literally beg people to sign up, do things, come to the event. We've done a great job all summer long. Our kudos to our Travis from the Parks and Recreation Department. He's done a fantastic job with the movies and in the park, and it's been very beneficial. I'd like to see more of that. I'd like to see more festivals, maybe something in the fall. The appearance committee's done a good job, and the city has doubled up on that and expanded our Christmas Jubilee, and we get a great turnout for that. Way more than we got here. We have a lot tonight, but the biggest thing is committees. We have so many of them, and Brenda's right. We sometimes are lucky if we have one person to pick from. And it's very hard to make those committees work if you don't get them to sign up. So what I would suggest is really get more people out and sign up for committees and become involved. Senior Center is a great place to come and volunteer and help the seniors out. They could use that. Whether it's to talk, knit, just be there for them. They'd be great and appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Lewis. Mrs. Leo, you have the last chance at this question.
I'm so glad to answer this because I do want to say, first of all, that the Chamber of Commerce has a great, not only website, I could go on and on, and their staff is great about putting out a newsletter with so much information each Monday morning. But I made a list. Our Parks and Rec department is amazing. It does more things than you could possibly imagine, especially with the latest pickleball and other items there. There's all types of media that you could find all this information. It is, when someone says they didn't know about something, it's because they didn't look for it, because it's out there in many, many forms. Go to the commissioners' meetings. There are so many things to do. Volunteer. That's huge. volunteer. We've got a kayak launch, we have fishing, we have so many things that we do here that if you look for it, you will find it. And again, shop and dine in Havelock.
Thank you, Mrs. Leo. Mr. Monarch, you'll have the privilege of starting question number 3. Share with us your plan to make Havelock the community where every existing business wants to invest in growth, and those looking at ENC choose to call home.
Absolutely, yeah, that's a great question. Why they want to come here? We got to give them something of why they want to come. What's the incentive to come to Havelock? What's here? We need, and my thing is, we need more things for families. Like, I would love to get a splash pad that would bring people into the city, and then when people come, there's going to be businesses. And when people are here, they want to have business. They want to spend money. They want to hang out at a community pool, community center where we can do that. And that's the biggest thing I would say is to bring business here. We need to have that incentive. Why do they want to come here? We want to show them that you can come here. We need them to come here. Just kind of like Mr. Jones was saying, stay, play, live. That's the biggest thing we want. We want companies to come here because they see that Havelock is here. There's people here. They're ready for it. And that's what we want to do. We want to watch them stay here. We want businesses to grow and businesses to continue to flourish here and to become better as well.
Thank you very much. Mr. Jones, share with us your plan to make Havelock the community where every existing business wants to invest in growth, and those looking at ENC choose to call home.
Thank you. The growth of Havelock is very important, and I think that's coming through the bypass that is coming through the area and the growth that is going to happen. As I mentioned in my open statement, that I was there the night that the DOT representative was there. It was George Corbin and myself, former commissioner, sitting there, only ones in the audience, listening to the DOT talk about the bypass that would affect Havelock and the businesses that are coming into the area. And shortly after that began the median build within the Havelock that did not allow you to cross the median, but at certain places. The accessibility of the area. If they are correct on the numbers, per the DOT, an enormous amount of folks will be moving into this area. And whether they stay or not, or whether they just come in and leave because there's nothing we have here, we're dying. We're a dying city. So we need businesses. We need businesses to come in, restaurants to come in. Every one of us in this place can run off and leave and go to Moorhead to eat at a steakhouse. We don't have a steakhouse. You can run off to New Bern to do some shopping because we don't have that shopping. Those are things that incorporate that and allow a family that gets stationed here to say, you know what, this is a great place. I don't want to go back to California. I don't want to go back to Texas, the great state of Texas. I want to come to Havelock and become, would you be a Havelockonian?
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Mrs. Wilson, share with us your plan to make Havelock the community where every existing business wants to invest in growth, and those looking at ENC choose to call home.
Having lived here for 44 years, I've watched us have businesses that we at one time had a great belt. We had a better belt than New Bern and Moorhead. And now we don't have belt. We had women's shopping. But we do have Walmart. We didn't have Walmart back then. We've watched grocery stores come and go. And sadly, part of it is our fault. We don't participate with our local businesses. And we as citizens must learn what's here. The chamber's a good avenue for knowing the businesses, besides just driving up and down 70. There are businesses, some home-based businesses even. And we need to, as citizens, support those businesses because, just as been said, as other businesses seek growth in the current businesses, then that will bring additional. And I also mentioned earlier a little bit about some additional growth that may happen for Havelock. That will give us more citizens to promote and also to shop and eat with those businesses. I got another red card.
Red card means you have 10 seconds to make.
I remember my kids in soccer and a red card was horrible.
You're going to make it. Thank you, Mrs. Wilson. Mrs. Lewis, share with us your plan to make Havelock a community where every existing business wants to invest in growth and those looking at ENC choose to call home.
I believe incentives are probably the most important thing that we can offer to them to make Havelock attractive to them. We also have to have the numbers for some of these things that everybody's asking for. Right now, we just don't have the numbers for those stores to be able to be sustainable. I've lived here for 41 years, as Brenda said. I've seen businesses come and go, and a lot of it is our own fault. She's right. We have to use those businesses. We had a Bell, we had a Sears, we had all of those things. We had a bowling alley. I mean, there's just so much that we had that we took for granted and we didn't use. So in order to get those back, we really have to gain a lot of trust from these people and help them to understand that it's something we want, we are willing to use that, and just be there and support them. Helping to make our corridor look better will be very helpful in doing that. Having the water and sewer going down through will make it attractive to them. But most of all, we just really have to patronize them, be there for them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Lewis. Mrs. Leo, share with us your plan to make Havelock a community where every existing business wants to invest in growth and those looking at ENC choose to call home.
I think one of the best things that we could do, or that I could try to do, is encourage everybody here to shop local, dine local. Yes, we do have to go elsewhere for some things, but we have to sustain the local businesses so that they do want to stay. And it seems that some do very, very well and others do not. So I believe that we all have a responsibility to keep them here. Incentives, yes, they do need incentives for new businesses. We do need to have incentives for new businesses. And I think the infrastructure and our 70 corridor would make a huge difference. If someone came in to look at our community, if it looked the best that it could be.
Thank you, Mrs. Leo. Mr. Canty, share with us your plan to make Havelock the community where every existing business wants to invest in growth and those looking at ENC choose to call home.
Good question. So one of the things everyone's basically screaming incentive, and I do back that on existing businesses here. Also looking at businesses wanting to come into the area, let them know about SWAT, pretty much our strength, weaknesses, opportunity, and threat. One of the best strengths we have here in Havelock is the Marine Corps Base Cherry Point. We have a military base here. To have that base here in this city gives us a strong foothold. Another strong foothold is the high school that we have here. We have an awesome high school where we send our kids to get a great education. Let them know it's one of the top high schools in the nation, or in the state. We should basically lift up those entities to basically let them know. And with the bypass coming through this community, let them know the city of Havelock is on the growth, is on the uprise, and with them bringing the business here, it's going to help bring basically get their businesses on the map in this local area. If they can get tied in with the base here, it will basically help flourish not only the community, but their local business as well.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
You've already had this one, haven't you, Josh?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay, for Mr. Jones, with the bypass being built, do you believe Havelock should invest in targeted marketing? And if so, to which audience and what would your plan include?
Without a doubt. Without a doubt, the marketing that's going to come that needs to be invested, the finances that need to be happening to invest for, hey, Havelock is open. The stay, play, and live Havelock, I don't believe it is just a slogan to say, I live it. I stay in Havelock because I love it. And it's, you know what? We hear the saying a lot. Everyone has ever heard it. And I heard it at an event recently that someone said, have not. And I hate that. That slogan drives me bananas. And I think we have plenty. We have great place for families to live, a great environment that we have here, a safe environment. We're just lacking a few things. But the investments in advertisement on the bypasses through the areas, as you're driving between here and Raleigh, you see things, advertisements for Goldsboro. Goldsboro has a bypass, but Goldsboro is not dead. We're not dead. There's hope for our city. There's hope that's going to happen, that things are going to grow, that our city can grow with businesses. That advertisement that we say, hey, we've got this because we're open for business. We've got this that has happened. And this being events for small children, for families, for seniors, for people of all ages, shapes, and sizes. We're a melting pot of culture in this city. What a wonderful city it is.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Mrs. Wilson, with the bypass being built, do you believe Havelock should invest in targeted marketing? And if so, to which audience and what would your plan include?
Well, as people are driving to the beach, we need them to stop here. So we need to tell them what is here. That's the most people are that are going to be on the bypass. They need to learn why people live here, why people choose, like me, to stay here. I could have gone anywhere. I've had people want me to move back to Memphis. I don't want to live there. I want to live here. This is home. And I think if we act, I don't know, some of you may have seen the hospital advertisements of why use Carolina East. It's a wonderful facility. We need to promote what's wonderful here. We need to promote our community college. We need to promote our schools. And in doing that, I think we will grow that pond.
Thank you. Mrs. Lewis, with the bypass being built, do you believe Havelock should invest in targeted marketing? And if so, to which audience and what would your plan include?
Yes, I believe that we should do some targeted marketing. And we have already been doing a lot of that within the CEC, and it's helped that grow and get more business. So we know that it's effective. We have great schools already at CEC. Businesses are starting to come. We need to remember to use that along the bypass when that's being completed. We should have billboards, good signage lets people know what we have, where it's found. Just in general, we need to promote Havelock to its fullest. We need to remember the base, always to promote that. It's our largest driver here in Eastern North Carolina, and people will come to see things that are around it. We have a kayak launch that's doing really well. People are enjoying that. We just should, as a general rule, promote the things we have and make them more appealing to everyone and get them to come.
Thank you.
Shelly gets yellow. I get red.
Mrs. Leo, with the bypass being built, do you believe Havelock should invest in targeted marketing? And if so, to which audience and what would your plan include?
A resounding yes. We do need to have targeted marketing. I believe the targeted audience would be restaurants and other stores. Everybody always talks about Belk being here years ago, and I don't see why we can't have something like that now. Incentives are huge. I think that if we use and promote what we have here already and focus on that as well as what the base brings to our community, that's a huge economic impact. And we also need to make sure that everybody knows the things that are going on with planes leaving, aircraft coming in, and the economic impact that does help us as our community.
Thank you, Mr. Leo. Mr. Canty, with the bypass being built, do you believe Havelock should invest in targeted marketing? And if so, to which audience and what would your plan include?
With a resounding yes, and I think that's across the board. I really think we should look at the adult audience and the younger audience as well, because we have community college that we need to basically lift up that community college. It offers a solid education. Our schools here, they receive numerous scholarships award coming to the Havelock High School. So if they come here, their kids have a outstanding chance of getting a scholarship. We need to lift up our recreation center. We have a great recreational park here that is run by the Havelock City event leader, I think Mr. Travis, and the Cherry Point Golf Course for the older folks for the older population that love to go out and play golf. They can get on base. They can use the golf course to either play the front nine or the back nine. Promote the military band. Give the military, and let's basically have a day out in the park where they can basically promote the military band here to basically try to get them to join the military, either via the band or just come into the military just to serve the country for 30 years like I did.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Munnins, with the bypass being built, do you believe Havelock should invest in targeted marketing? And if so, to which audience and what would your plan include?
Absolutely, yeah. Just like everybody's saying, yes, we do need to market to target audiences. And I would say one of the target audiences that's going to bring the money in is going to be families. You know, we need to target into families because families, kind of like people have been saying up here so far, families are driving to the beach. I'm going to take the bypass, go around Havelock, and I don't want to stop. Or do I want to come in and say, hey, look, they have a water park. Let's hang out. Let's go to the splash pad. Let's go to the community pool. And one of the things with that I will bring up is this summer, my family, we drove to Kinston to go to a water park. While we were there, a bus from Craven County pulled up and full of kids, full of people got off. And I heard a lady go, why are they here? Don't they have one there in Havelock? And everybody was like, no, there's nothing over in that area. And I was standing there and I was like, well, that's something that needs to change because that right there, that place was full of people. It brought money in, and it's going to bring people. It's going to bring families in. And that's something that we need to do is to target those families and target that kind of audience. Also, the curb appeal. Just got to make the city look like presentable. People want to come in if it's going to be presentable. Weeds that are overgrown, curbs that aren't painted, little things like that are going to bring people, and people are going to see that and want to stop, and hey, they take care of it. Kind of like I've mentioned before. They take care of their city. I'm going to stop here as well.
Thank you, sir. Mrs. Wilson, first up this time. How do you feel about the overall appearance of Havelock? And are there any changes you would make to improve the curb appeal of both commercial and residential properties?
I look at homes every day, and curb appeal is so important when you're trying to sell a home. Our city needs to know, our citizens need to know that we're trying to sell our city and doing everything that we can to include putting the mulch down around the rose bushes as you go through the median. putting our people out there every day, mowing and keeping things as clean as possible. We just invested in a new street sweeper. If you came to the Chili Festival, you got to see it. And they had actually used it the day before, and they gave it a 100% go-over so that it looked like it was brand new. You couldn't tell that it had been used the night before. So curb appeal is so important, not only to our individual homes and our neighborhoods, but also to our city. Another thing that the city is doing is wayfinding signs to help people find things. We've been looking at different models of them, and so you'll be seeing that soon, because some people, we mentioned the kayak watch. Some people don't know that we have that, and we have many things that our citizens are not taking advantage of, and this will hopefully make that happen by having those signs.
Thank you, Mrs. Wilson. Mrs. Lewis, how do you feel about the overall appearance of Havelock? And are there any changes you would make to improve the curb appeal of both commercial and residential properties?
I've been here for 41 years and I've seen Havelock come a long way with the overall look of this town. It's no secret we're just one big long strip, which to a degree should make it a little bit easier for us to try to keep that neat and tidy. I think that we should try to encourage our businesses as well as our homeowners to take more pride in their own properties and to spruce them up, keep ditches clean. Our median's doing pretty well. We're doing a really good job with keeping grasses mulched around the flowers. I think that we need to do that on our service roads as well. Service roads, McCarter, 101. We can't always just focus on Highway 70. There's a lot more to Havelock than that. I think that we need to just encourage everybody to do their part. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. Mrs. Leo, what do you feel about the overall appearance of Havelock? And are there any changes you would make to improve the curb appeal of both commercial and residential properties?
I believe what looks good in Havelock looks great. What looks bad makes the city look bad. I am very concerned about the Route 70 corridor and would like to see things changed tremendously. And it may be a coat paint, it may be to fix broken windows, but we really need to make sure that our 70 corridor looks better than it does now. I would encourage the businesses to do the same, and many may know that I am the chairperson of the Havelock Appearance Commission, and one of the things that we do for our businesses is on a monthly basis or so, we provide a method of recognizing a business that is aesthetically pleasing, and it's called Pride of Havelock. And that's what we really need to do, is have pride in our Havelock to make it as best that it can be.
Thank you, Mrs. Liu. Mr. Canty, how do you feel about the overall appearance of Havelock? And are there any changes you would make to improve the curb appeal of both commercial and residential properties?
Yes, and I would. I love the Commissioner Lewis mentioned the wayfinding signs. I love the wayfinding sign, basically identifying all the locations here in Havelock. I would definitely look at basically planting those and get the community involved in cleaning, not incentivizing the cleaning, but basically taking pride in our community as being a member of the Havelock community. We want to basically lift up the value of our residents and basically taking care of our homes. have a national paint day here in Havelock, and we basically get to have all the businesses and all the local residents paint their homes, paint their businesses, clean up the street. I love that we have a street sweeper here to basically use to help clean the street, but I love that phone ringtone. But definitely, we as a community really need to get involved, and if we're going to make Havelock a place, a beacon to draw people here, we need to take care of it, look at it as our home. Okay, this is our home, we're going to take care of it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Mullins, how do you feel about the overall appearance of Havelock? And are there any changes you would make to improve the curb appeal of both commercial and residential properties?
Absolutely, yeah. I kind of mentioned a little bit of it so far previously. But yeah, no, I feel like the appearance overall is a decent appearance, but we can always get better. And that's the one thing is we can always strive to get better. Like the middle where they added the mulch with the rose bushes looks very nice. But on the other side where the park is, there's weeds growing over the street going into the road, and it's chipped paint. And you can't even see, there's no yellow lines there. I don't, like the curbs aren't yellow. We know, don't hit the curb, but it's the chip paint and there's the weeds hanging over. Little things like that, that's going to get that curb appeal to bring people in and see it. Kind of like I mentioned, they're going to see that and they're going to be like, they take pride in their city. We want to go here. We want to take pride and we want to put our money in a city that takes pride in its city as well. And I would say little things like that we need, kind of like the businesses, hey, let's get these buildings that are kind of dilapidated. What can we do to either get a business in, or what can we do maybe to get the business down? Because boarded up windows, drive through the city and you see boarded up windows, you see boards all over the place. Not the thing you really want to see in a city. Incentives for neighborhood cleanups. Let's get, like we said before, the community together. Let's get this cleanup. We've mentioned it many times. This is our home. We live here. I'm new to this town. I love it. I want to see it grow. I want to see it and want to see it prosper. And the little things like that is what's going to help it as well.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Jones, how do you feel about the overall appearance of Havelock? And are there any changes you would make to improve the curb appeal of both commercial and residential properties?
I believe we are improving. We are getting better. With each summer, each thing that happens in our city, things do get a little bit better. But how is our city getting better is the question. It's fostered by competition. Around Christmas time, we have the best Christmas decorations that are going on. That Michelle mentioned there, the Christmas appearance committee may go out and award the best looking house that has the best Christmas decorations, and they've taken the time to make it look beautiful. And you drive your kids by it, and they critique it and going, "Oh, look at that! That's beautiful," because that's what my kids do. So, competition. I believe a healthy competition. Us as Americans, we're competitive. We're competitive in everything we do, whether it's sitting up here and sweating underneath the suit, or whether it's mowing your yard. The biggest thing of peer pressure is when your neighbor cranks up their mower, and then you're like, oh boy, I better run out there. You've got 24 hours to respond to that mowing to get out there. But I believe simply to create a fostered environment of competition amongst our residents in our city, that I mowed or something are cleaned. But as we get out and we are fostering that and having that kind of relationship with also volunteering within our city to help mow somebody's yard that may need help, or to help a business, or something to clean up our city streets.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Okay, the new question. Mrs. Lewis, you'll be first. What is your understanding of the current tax rates within the city of Havelock, how those taxes are used, and how they compare with surrounding communities?
Our taxes, we have worked very hard for the last 10 years to keep our taxes down. We've kept it at 0.59, and we're trying very hard to continue doing that for our citizens. We have had to make some increases in other areas in order to be able to do that. It just comes down to the fact that If you want the amenities and the services, at some point, there's gonna be a time you're about to pay for it. But as long as I'm up here, I will continue to fight for that. It will keep the tax rate down. We're lower than some of them, and maybe even higher than a few. But on the whole, we're very, very blessed to have a good tax rate. I'm a citizen the same as all of you guys, so when I make a decision, I don't take it lightly. I know that it affects my family the same as it affects yours. So it's very important for me to keep that tax rate down for our citizens. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Mrs. Leo, what is your understanding of the current tax rates within the city of Havelock, how those taxes are used, and how they compare with surrounding communities?
Unfortunately, I'm not as versed in the taxes as I would like to be. However, I believe that I don't think the general public understands how well the city has tried to keep that tax base down. I almost wish that every once in a while, every few years, we would have a little bit of a tax hike so that you can cover what you need to cover. And I don't think that that many understand how important it is for all of that money to be able to provide for all the items that the city has to take care of.
Thank you, Mrs. Leo. Mr. Canty, what is your understanding of the current tax rates within the city of Havelock, how those taxes are used, and how they compare with surrounding communities?
So, on the tax rate, the city is doing an outstanding job on managing the taxes that are being spent. The amount of things that we actually have to do, that we have to do here in the city, and that's the mayor and current commissioners that are working, is amazing what they have done. For us to maintain our tax bracket where we're at right now, I think we need to also look at where we can actually gain from federal government some of the taxes that we're spending. There's enough finance that has been put out in the country where we probably can get some of that finance to help relieve some of the taxes that we currently have. But we need to basically keep pushing forward as a city, because if we want things here in the city, yes, we have to pay taxes, and we have to basically maintain our standing. Definitely, we want to draw more businesses here in the community. We want to make Havelock look like a thriving community.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Mullins, what is your understanding of the current tax rates within the city of Havelock, how those taxes are used, and how they compare with surrounding communities?
Absolutely, yeah. One thing I will be honest with you is I don't know the current tax rates, what's everything's going on in the city at the moment. Something that's not transparent, that I haven't been able to get the information. But it is something that if and when I do become a commissioner, it's going to be something that I will dive myself into, because I do want to get more information into that and really dive in. So I don't want to give you guys an answer of something that could be not the truth. So I will be honest and tell you at the moment, I don't have a lot of information on the tax rates, but it will be something that I will look into and get a lot more information on as well. Thank you.
Mr. Jones, what is your understanding of the current tax rates within the city of Havelock, how those taxes are used, and how they compare with surrounding communities?
My understanding is that our current tax rate helps take care of our firefighters, our law enforcement, our first responders that respond to the needs of our city. Whether it be someone having a car accident or someone having a hard time at home and needs somebody to come take care of them. To maintain those vehicles, to put oil and gas with high gas prices in there, to take care of that, to buy a new fire truck to service an area, to install a firefighter into the workforce, to get someone in there. Those taxes take care of that. And by the West End expansion that was mentioned earlier, the taxes that'll generate will allow for more money to come into our city that will help keep our tax rate low, so that we won't have an issue with, like, oh, my water bill is going up, or my electricity, well, which is Craven County, but those other things that raise up, that cause us, that get to us bit by bit. The West End expansion, the highway, the bypass coming around, that'll allow for more land to be opened up around Havelock as well. That businesses can come in to service gas stations, hotels, whatever the case may be. Whether someone is on their way to the beach that will see Havelock, hey, this place is open. This is a great place. Babe Ruth stopped here. Go Braves.
Thanks, sir. Mrs. Wilson, what is your understanding of the current tax rates within the city of Havelock, how those taxes are used, and how they compare with surrounding communities?
No one has mentioned that we are going to be having a reevaluation of our taxes. The county is in the process of doing that as we speak. There's going to be city meetings where we need citizens to come out and learn, because you're going to hate to receive that bill in the mail that tells you your house, because of real estate prices, has gone up. At one point, I heard someone tell me that it could go up your home values as much as 29%. I don't know if that's going to be true when the final results come out, but be prepared for a reassessment to happen this year. As for our taxes, we're not fortunate like Carteret County, that has the mega mansions at Emerald Isle that provide a huge tax base. We have medium family homes. We like where we live because we live where our friends are, where our extended family is, and so we do the very best we can for you as our family.
Thank you, ma'am. We have time for another question, so Mrs. Leo, you're going to get to start another one for us.
Okay.
Are there any current restrictions within the city of Havelock that you would support changing? And if so, what would your recommendation include?
I think the only restriction that we have is that not enough people get involved. And the community needs to do that for all of us if we become commissioners. We need to have that information so that we can do as much as we can for the community to make it a place that people want to come to, shop at, and dine at.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Canty, are there any current restrictions within the city of Havelock that you would support changing? And if so, what would your recommendations include?
One of the changes I would recommend, and I've seen it being at all of the commissioners, board of commissioners meeting here in the city, they showed us one of the weapon ordinance, and it's out of date. Not to get into the gun lobbyists, but one, they're looking at states that you can basically carry a weapon into a place that consumes alcohol, and you have alcohol in your system. I do not agree with that. That would be one of the policies that I would basically look at, try to change, because although I do agree that they do need to have security, but they do not need to have people coming in to consume alcohol, drink, and basically with a loaded weapon.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Munnins, are there any current restrictions within the city of Havelock that you would support changing? And if so, what would your recommendations include?
Absolutely, yeah. Great question. One of the restrictions that I've heard about recently in the past, and recently as well too, I know up here a lot of us have been talking about bringing in other stores, bringing in larger stores. I've heard in the past that we've had larger stores that wanted to come, and the restriction was, no, we don't want you guys here. We don't want a larger box store here. We want the small businesses, which it's great to have small businesses, but sometimes those big stores do bring in the revenue that we need. So I would say that would be one thing. Let's bring in some business. I know we want to grow, we want to move, we want to continue to change, and I would say let's get those businesses in here that we can do to help our town and to help Havelock grow and prosper.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Jones, are there any current restrictions within the city of Havelock that you would support changing? And if so, what would your recommendations include?
I was in attendance the night that the board voted against allowing concealed carry within the Parks and Rec area. The state allowed that. That was something that was brought down to the board, to each individual city to determine on their own. I believe in the protection of our children. A criminal is going to carry a gun where they want to carry a gun. And as a concealed carry person, you have gone through training and understand the consequences for drawing your weapon. And I believe in Parks and Rec, that should be an area that a concealed carry person should be allowed to concealed carry. Unfortunately, that was voted on our board that said no, we're not going to allow concealed carry within that area. But once again, I believe that someone who has taken the time to train, understand the laws, and gone through the concealed carry process, they have the right to carry and protect our children from an active shooter, from someone wanting to harm, whether it be an angry parent or someone just trying to be mean. Unfortunately, anytime there's a shootout, someone has been let into the establishment. They've been there. They're there. But when they've been stopped, it's been by someone who has been concealed carry trained.
Thank you, sir. Mrs. Wilson, are there any current restrictions within the city of Havelock that you would support changing? And if so, what would your recommendations include?
Well, first off, we didn't vote to change the regulation. That was just a workshop. So there will be further discussion, and certainly we all encourage input from you, the citizens. So please think about that. We did just pass chickens, being able to have chickens in the city limits. I didn't realize anybody thought that was important, and I apologize if you have chickens, but we have voted now that you can within the city limits. So things do change. If we have citizens who bring things to us, they tell us what they want, then we make sure that we do what's best not only for our city, but to help those people who need certain things in their life.
Thank you, Mrs. Wilson. Mrs. Lewis, are there any current restrictions within the city of Havelock that you would support changing? And if so, what would your recommendations include?
What I see as the biggest restriction for Havelock is it's pretty much landlocked. We don't have the land to entice other businesses to come in. And unfortunately, that's not something Havelock can change. It is what it is, and we have to deal with that. But we have so many other things that we can entice them with to get them to come. There's plenty of growth that's going to happen around the bypass, and I look forward to seeing that. I have 9 grandchildren and 2 grandchildren that I very much want to see continue to stay in Havelock and love it and raise their families as well as I have. And I just can't think any more than Havelock is a wonderful place to be. And look forward to everything it has to offer. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. We have time for one more. Guess who's first this time, Mr. Canty?
Very well.
Question is, what do you see as the mission of this elected position, the commissioner? And how will you separate personal goals, business, and bias from what's best for the community?
Well, one of the things I see as far as for this position is to take care of the city of Havelock and all of its constituents, making sure that we're doing everything we can to basically invite more businesses here into the community. That way, it will be a thriving community that will support their family, our families, and the community as a whole. Looking at Cherry Point, basically letting them know that we have a military base here, we have a high school here, we have a college here. This is a great place to raise a family, to basically help build up the community and drive your businesses if you're coming here. And basically, us as commissioners see that, one, taking care of Havelock as a whole is what we should be looking at doing. Forgive me for that.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Montes, what do you see as the mission of this elected position of commissioner, and how will you separate personal goals, business, and bias from what's best for the community?
Absolutely. I do have personal bias. I do personal beliefs, like we all do here in this place. That's why we're here. We all have things that we want to do and things that we want to change. But to be elected into the position, what I'm going to take into part is going to be growth for the city, to watch our city prosper, and to stand the test of time. Because that's who we are here in Havelock. We are resilient. I wasn't here. I had family who was here during Florence who got hit really hard. They stood the test of time. They're here to talk about it. I heard families were here to help each other, to be here, and that's what I am. And that's why I'm here on this board, or wanting to get on the board, is because I want to be part of that. I want to be part of that community, to be there for people. I want to be there to help others. And that's the best thing about it, is I just want to see growth. I love being in this town, being around people, seeing people, talking to them, saying hi, going to the meetings, at the commissioner meetings, and talking to people as well, and remembering them, and then remembering who I am. And just having that community feel is what's going to make my decisions in this, and making sure that we do grow, we prosper, and that we don't become, kind of like Mr. Jones said, a have-not. We're not that. We're Havelock. And that's what I'm here to do, is to make sure that we stay Havelock and that we don't die and become something else. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Jones, what do you see as the mission of this elected position of commissioner, and how will you separate personal goals, business, and bias from what's best for the community?
Yes, first and foremost, I believe that stewardship of the finances, the tax dollars that come into our budget, the stewardship of that to go to the right appropriation that needs to happen, whether EMS needs a new truck or a new body needs to be assisted there, someone who's trained with a specialty. The stewardship of that, of the finances that I see at this position there, is the most important thing on my head. The things that I think about on this, how would I handle something that comes in on that? Understanding and getting all the facts possible that come in. Do we need this? Do we need this vote? Do we need to vote for this? Is this something? Should we allow this to happen in our city? Should we appropriate these finances for this vehicle? If we wait a little while, will the warranty go out on that? How many of us have had problems where the car broke or something broke the day after the warranty expired? We want to avoid that. And to respond to Brenda saying that comment about that was a workshop, I believe I was referring back to when Mayor Sanders was still in charge, and he was there, and the board voted against that. The board said, no, we're not going to have that. So it's good to hear that it's being revisited on that so that we can have protection for our children.
Thank you, sir. Mrs. Wilson.
When I came on the board, I had several goals in mind, and the first one, of course, was to protect the citizens of Havelock the best way that I can. And I truly have tried to do that through just what he said, stewardship of the monies, of the tax dollars that come. The budget process is quite extensive for the city because we have to purchase the new vehicles every year for the police department. We have to set aside money we have funds where we are annually putting money to purchase a new ladder truck, we have to save money because we can't make those purchases on an annual basis. Most of them we have to save for, along with paying debt service. The city does have debt, and so we have to make a payment just as you do on your home on our various buildings. So stewardship is huge when it comes to our city and what the commissioners do, making sure that budget balances. We can't spend more than we take in, and so not like some other parts of government. We are very resourceful, but she just showed me a red card again.
Thank you, Mrs. Wilson. Mrs. Wilson, what do you see as the mission of this elected position of commissioner, and how will you separate personal goals, business, and bias from what's best for the community?
Our mission in the city is to see to the needs of the citizens. After all, they are what make Havelock great. As Brenda said, we have a grueling task of doing a budget that's quite large, and we have to see all of those needs for each department. And there is a continual rebuying of things over a course of time. But we've been very good at that. We've been very frugal in many areas. We set aside money in CIPs to be able to purchase those funds. And we just look at everything line by line to make sure that we are not shortchanging any department or shortchanging our citizens. After all, it is essentially your money we're spending, and we need to be ever mindful of that. I in no way believe that Havelock is dying. I believe that we're alive and well, and that we are absolutely open for business, and we need to continue pushing and allowing people to know that. And I look forward to continuing for the next several months, and hopefully in the next election I will come to be your commissioner again. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Lewis. Mrs. Leo, what do you see as the mission of this elected position of commissioner, and how will you separate personal goals, business, and bias from what's best for the community?
There are three things that I learned when I was on the advisory board for the Campbell Land Use Plan. Our assets are Marine Corps Air Station Cherry Point, Route 70, community ties. The most important for us is redevelopment, marketing, which I think the Chamber does an amazing job marketing our Havelock, and the improvements that we need to make. On a personal note, I am a person that is not about me. It is about everybody else. I volunteer because I like to make a difference, and that's why I'm involved. And I will do the best that I possibly can to represent our community and seek the opinions of everybody on their issues.
Thank you, Mrs. Leo. So we've now wrapped up our questions, and we're going to allow each candidate to have 2 minutes for closing comments. And Mrs. Lewis, we will start with you.
Well, I would like to again, first off, thank everyone for coming. I'd like to thank Aaron from the Chamber for hosting this event. Our moderator, Tom Broughton's done a fantastic job of keeping us all in line. Our fellow candidates, as well as fellow commissioners sitting up here tonight. But most importantly, I'd like to thank you, the citizens, who took our time out of your evening to come out and listen to us and submit your questions for us to answer. So elections are about making choices. So on November 8th, you will make a choice about who will represent your interests in the community of our economy, infrastructure, and the health and well-being of our great city. Together we can make it better. I believe that in the last 10 years, I've proven that I am that right person for the job. I am totally committed to making Havelock the best place to live and raise a family. I am not running to be a politician. We have too many of those now. I believe that more important, we need more good Christian leaders in government. Ones who will serve the people, someone who will try to balance the good from the evil, someone who will also listen to all sides of an issue, and then make the right decisions for our citizens. We're a strong, safe community, and I want nothing more than to see that continue. So I am seeking your vote for the election tonight. Thank you in advance and have a blessed evening.
Thank you, Mrs. Lewis. Mrs. Wilson. Closing comments, please.
We've sat up here and we've talked about a lot of things happening in Havelock, but your vote is so important to all of us because it is what's going to decide how our city is run. One of the things that being on the Board of Commissioners you learn is that when there is a vote taken, you may not have voted in the way that was the majority opinion. But when you leave, that is your opinion. You have to be able to accept and go forward and promote Havelock in the way that we as a body see that it needs to be moving forward. We always want to be moving forward. I have lived here for, as I said, 44 years, and I have truly tried to make a difference in Havelock. I believe in our city. I love Havelock. In fact, I won the I Love Havelock Award twice. So maybe that counts for something. But it is my home. It is where I raised my children. It is where I choose to live. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Wilson. Mr. Jones, closing comments, please.
Sir, thank you once again for taking care of this and keeping us all in line and order, and also the Chamber for hosting this event. For years and years, my wife and I had date night at the Board of Commissioners meeting. I don't know if that's a sad thing or whatever it may be, but we enjoyed going and watching Mr. Walsh and Mr. Liner going back and forth discussing the issues. Such an enjoyable time that we would leave so excited about it and go get some Sonic in Havelock. But a board is a body of different beliefs. People who have different beliefs to come together to support and to have the stewardship of a city, to have the best interests, an ambassador for our city. I'm seeking your vote tonight that November 8th, that I can be elected as a City of Havelock Commissioner to represent you, to be an ambassador, to have your thoughts, your ideas, to have an understanding of that. We all may not get along at times. We all may not have an understanding of the exact same things going on of growth or to infrastructure or how the sewage treatment plant should be run or what color flowers should be in the median. But we'll have an agreement. We'll come to an agreement, to a vote, that where we take the opportunity to say, yes, we're going to move forward in this way. And once we make that decision, once a decision is made, I believe that we all back it, that we back that decision and we go with it, that we say, this is what we're doing, this is the direction of our city and the future of it. I believe in that. I believe in our city. I believe in the stay, play, and live in Havelock mentality. And I like your vote tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Mr. Mullins.
Thank you.
Closing comments, please.
Absolutely. JFK once said, "Every accomplishment starts with a decision to try." I have decided to try, and I want you guys to be alongside of me with this. I have a young family here in Havelock, and I'm excited to help our city grow into one that will prosper and stand the test of time. It's been a pleasure to be here with you all tonight, and I'm excited for our future together. Yes, there are real issues that we've talked about. Are all of these issues going to be fixed? No, I'll be honest with you. But what we can do is we can start working together to watch Havelock thrive. I want to be able to do that with you. And together we can make things happen and see our town reach its full potential. So it says a lot when people do come out tonight from city to participate in a candidate forum. So I want to say I appreciate all of your guys' time tonight and your questions. And thank you for allowing me to try. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Canty, your closing comments.
Yes, sir. Again, thank you to the Tourist Center and staff, moderator, sir. I do appreciate you for keeping us in line, and our card lady for keeping us on time. We all have laid out our answers to you. The election is about choice. I believe after 30 years in the Marine Corps and service to our nation, I am ready to serve this community as a commissioner. Havelock is growing. We're in a phase where we're going to be growing, and we need to start planning for tomorrow, today. We have to move forward together as a city. If we're going to grow this city, we need to come together as one. The Bible says, "Can two walk together except in agreement?" I want to walk together with you as a body of believers and moving this city of Havelock in the right direction, in growth, in spirit, and in truth. I've laid my answer out. Any one of these candidates can be commissioned. I'm hoping on October 20th, when early voting starts, and November 8th, that you have selected me as one of your county commissioners, as your city commissioner. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Mrs. Leo.
First, I want to thank everybody that came. It's great to see this many in the audience. As Brenda said, it is the best audience that we've had. I also want to thank the Chamber for putting on a great event, and the moderator table, keeping us all in line. I also want to thank Commissioner Jim Core for his service that he has given to the Board of Commissioners. I believe that Havelock is not dying, and I hear that often, and I don't like to hear that. Maybe Havelock is just taking a little nap, and we can try to wake it up a little bit, and that's really what I would like to do. Communication and accountability from our leadership and population is paramount to our community. That's the perfect reason to attend board meetings, attend events, volunteer, respect our community, vote, and try to make a difference. Let's make a difference together. So I humbly ask for your vote on Tuesday, November 8th, and I thank everyone for being here.
You've been incredible. So now is the time for applause.
And now the sigh of relief.
I think I heard some squirming back there when I asked some of the questions, because you would not have wanted to be up there trying to think of the answer that fast. So they did a remarkable job, but we're not quite finished, because now we're going to allow our mayor, who truly was gracious in allowing the candidates who are competing for the 2 seats to have the time and for you to learn about that. But now we're going to ask Mayor Lewis for his views, his vision, whatever you would like to say, sir.
Thanks, sir. I appreciate it. Especially thank you to the Chamber for setting this up tonight and for having me here to speak. And thank you to each and every one of you that decided to stay all the way to the end to hear me say something. And I was wondering if General Broughton was going to come up with 2 or 3 more questions to push us all the way to 8 o'clock. They got a red card waiting for me if I go too long. There are a couple things I want to say. First of all the candidates that are up here, I do applaud all the optimism that I heard from the table. as the eternal optimist typically in a room, which is what I get accused of being, I applaud your optimism and your thoughts for the future. I do want to make one correction, which is Brenda has not been here the longest at 44 years. I've been here for 45 years. Next year will be 46. The distinction there being that I was born here. I grew up riding my bicycle in these streets. I grew up running around in these parks. I played on every one of these fields. I played basketball on every one of the basketball courts. I graduated from the same Havelock Elementary School building that my father and my uncles did, the same middle school, which was their high school, and I graduated from Havelock High School. So, what does that mean for me and for you? Most of y'all here know my resume, and you know the work I've done for the city of Havelock. And even though I don't have an opponent on the ballot this time, I still think it's important that we talk a little bit about what I see for the future for the next 4 years for the city of Havelock, because I am still asking for you to support me and to vote for me. And I'm going to take these questions in true Lewis fashion. I'm going to answer them in a little bit different order, and I'll lump a few of them together. The first one I'm going to hit is suggestions to engage more people. And I'll say for the last 9 years, I've been on a quest to try to engage people in the city of Havelock. We've made striking changes across how we do things at the city, all the way down to where we sit and where the podium is when you do come to a meeting. And a lot of you in here have been to board meetings, and you see that interaction is much more personable than it used to be. I set aside hours every week for nothing but citizens to come to City Hall and sit down and meet. I've given the commissioners the same opportunity in my office if they'd like to do that. We've had to spread that to 2 days a week now to make sure that we can meet with everybody that has a question or a concern. We've had summits where we walked to all 5,000 houses and every residence and every business in Havelock and passed out things. We've done everything from music, movies, cleanup committees, pickleballs, basketball, the new city stage, National Night Out, Christmas events. I could go on, and these folks mentioned most of them. And here's the lesson that I've learned. You cannot force people in the city of Havelock to come out and become engaged. I think our role as the Board of Commissioners and as the city is to provide as many opportunities as possible for people to engage. A lot of you that are in here today, I didn't see you at a movie in the park. Some of you I saw music. Some of you are music. Some of you didn't come to the movies. Some of you here play pickleball on our new car. Some of you have no interest in pickleball. But y'all came here tonight, but there are, 16,000 other people that didn't come here tonight. So I think our real role is to provide as many opportunities in a diverse way as possible, and I think we've been on a trajectory to do that in every department in the city of Havelock. I'm going to jump to budget next. And the question was about tax rate and how we use it. And I'm just going to hit on one distinction that wasn't made tonight. The rate is just a number. What you really pay is the levy. That's what we all care about. Right? So our rate is 59 cents per $100 of valuation of your property. Right? But if 59 cents meant that you only paid us $20, that's a great rate. If 59 cents meant you paid us $10,000 a year, that would be horrible. Right? So the rate doesn't really mean anything. That's why the evaluation that's happening this year at the county is going to be so critical. And as we look forward, and what does that rate become, and what does that levy become for you? Average house in Havelock, and I say average, some of you pay more, some of us pay less, some pay more, is between $600 and $700 a year in taxes per house. $600 to $700 a year. So a lot of citizens say, I don't get the bang for my tax dollar. I bet you every one of you, our fiscal year starts July 1st, by August 15th, you've received your $600 or $700 worth of value. The reality is, the rest of the money that we get is what picks up the balance, and that's your Walmarts. And that's your other businesses that pay a substantially large amount of money in taxes. So our job as a board, and the way I try to do it as mayor for you guys and leading the board, has been to try to be the best steward we can of every one of those dollars. And, just to hit on the past for 1 second, 9 years ago we had $3.2 million roughly in our reserve account, that's your savings account. Last year we were pushing just over $10 million. And that has not been at a decrease of services. As a matter of fact, we've provided more services. And we've done them in a more efficient way, and that's how we do that. We drive trucks a little bit longer. Right? We don't get new trucks every year. All of our 126 employees do the work of 2 people every single day. And that's how we do what we do to make sure we're stewards of your money. Is your tax rate going to change next year? Absolutely. If you're doing a reevaluation, it's going to have to change. The rate is going to change. What the levy is going to be the big conversation. What that is, our pocketbook size. That's what we all care about. The next one, I'll lump all the ED, the economic development, infrastructure, marketing into one quick one. And I'll start with the bypass. It's true. City of Havelock is very linear in the way we're shaped geographically, and we're surrounded by Marine Corps Air Station Cherry Point, the Croatan National Forest, and water. All three of which we have zero control over. So the two directions that we have to grow are western, in the western direction, which is, I'm going to say, towards Carolina Pines, Stately Pines, and in kind of a south-southwest direction-ish. I'd fail in that one, towards the bypass. And I have to say that the bypass is an incredible opportunity. That is, it is not a foregone conclusion that it will be a great thing for the city of Havelock. I think that there's a huge opportunity that it will be a great thing for the city of Havelock, but when you get to the marketing question that was asked earlier, I think what we have to do a little bit better, we've been working on the last couple of years, and I'll admit we don't do a great job of, is we have to tell the story of the city of Havelock a lot better. So our population after the new census is going to be between 16,000 and 17,000 folks. And that's down, and we knew it would come down. Probably squadrons have left, and we're in a dip waiting on the F-35 to fire up next year. 16,000 people does not qualify for Chick-fil-A. Doesn't qualify for an Olive Garden, right? It doesn't. They have population boundaries, right? But neither does more have a population of 10,000. All right, so how do you become successful? They have a tourism story to tell. They have a story to tell about the number of people that come in there 6-7 months out of the year and flood their entire county with dollars to be spent. What story do we have to tell that's different? And we're working on crafting that now through a strategic plan and some other things we're working on in the city. You got 4,000 people that don't necessarily live in the city limits working at FRCs every day that drive into town and spend their whole day here. You've got a little over 1,000 people that work at the station. And they all come into town. You've got tons of Marines that don't live on the base anymore, and they live in Newport, and they live in New Bern, and they live in Carolina Colors. Our population at lunchtime every day is not 16,000. That population is probably 30,000. Right? So we have to craft the story correctly. And that is the part of marketing that I think is important. And who do we market that to? I mean, it sounds kind of corny to say anybody who listens. But the truth is that's what you have to do. Economic development's a long-range game. It's not a short-term game. So it's not like if we go to Cracker Barrel and we talk to the manager and we say, come on down to Havelock, they're going to be like, great idea, man, we'll be there tomorrow. Right? Some of these are corporate companies with very strict growth plans. And it's great to say we'd love to have them here, and I think we would. But you have to meet those plans to make that happen. We have to be part of their vision. And so our economic developer roles as a city of Havelock need to be enhanced. And that's what we've been trying to do the last couple of years, and we'll continue to do. The story has to be told right. But if you want to tell the story right, you want people to actually come here, then the first question that was asked is the big one, and that's infrastructure. All right, and the infrastructure that matters, if you're trying to get a business here or you're trying to live here, is water, sewer, streets, and drainage. That's your goal. If you don't have the water and sewage for a business to come to town, then you're not going to be successful in getting that business to come here. The sprinkler conversation for water alone with Walmart was months and months to provide the right pressure so they could run their sprinkler systems. Right? So water, sewer, streets, and drainage. Those are all that we talk about, one of four or all four at every single meeting that we have, whether it's a workshop or a televised meeting. Because they're critically important to your quality of life, to all of our quality of life, and they're critically important if we actually want to see economic development in the city of Havelock. We want to see growth. So we'll continue to do that. This year right now, you've got a little over $4 million congressionally directed money in our federal budget. That would be to increase our sewer capacity going in the western direction. So at the beginning, I said we can only grow west, or we grow in that south-southwest direction. Well, to do that, you got to put pipe in the ground. If you don't know, if you haven't heard about inflation, I'm telling you, stuff's expensive. And running sewer for a development out in that direction is going to be $4 million. $4 million that we don't get back for a long time. Our total budget is $25 million for the city of Havelock. Say roughly, I'll use rough numbers, $11 million in the National General Fund. The rest is split amongst water, sewer, this building, and solid waste. $4 million is not, I mean, that'd be like coming to your house for that, if you just wrote me a check for $200,000, I'd be happy to do that, right? It's not necessarily an easy thing. So planning that is important. The strategic plan we're working on is important, and telling the story the right way, which is what we're working on now. Now, I'm not going to say we haven't told the story well in the past, but I think if we look in the mirror every day, and I look at my last 9 years, that has been an honor and privilege to be your mayor. If I look at that last 9 years, I can find plenty of things that I might would have done different if I had different information at that time. There are plenty of things I think, man, we did okay on that, but I think we could do better. There are plenty of things that we just didn't have time to address. And that's the reality of, we're still dealing with problems today that people had 20 years ago because the number of challenges in the city is dramatic. So my pledge to you is I will continue to stay focused on making sure you guys are included in everything that we do, making sure that we've got the strongest thoughts about stewardship for our budget, for our resources, because everything is a balance of resources, whether it's money, time, or allocated pieces of equipment. And I will continue to do that. And I'll continue to grow our strategic plan with the board the best way I can so that we can all be proud of the city of Havelock every single day. I hate when people say Havelock is dying because if it was dying, none of us would live here. I don't even like, I mean, ain't nobody sleeping up here. I don't know about y'all, but I haven't taken a nap in 9 years. Right? I mean, I work really hard, so does the board. And I think all of you work really hard for Havelock in a different way. We all have that role every single day. We'll continue to provide opportunities so you can be a part of it. So, I get a yellow card, and we have 30 seconds. I'm going to say this. So what happens when you put a politician last? Here's what I'm going to say. October 20th for early voting and November 8th, when you go vote your conscience for whatever you choose, I understand that I do not have a direct opponent on the ballot against me. But I still would like each of you to vote for me in a vote of confidence for the work that I have done and will continue to do. And I'm happy to talk to each and every one of you tonight or any other time in my office or at Food Line, which is where a lot of us talk, or wherever. We're happy to see each other.
Walmart.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, sir. Thanks to the candidates. You've really done a great job. It's not easy to sit up there and take questions that you have no idea what's really coming. I mean, you have a general idea, but when people start to shoot things at you, it's tough. When your first hit's hard, when your last hit's hard, because you don't want to just repeat what everybody else has done, but thanks to the citizens that Havelock are going to win, no matter which one of you do. And I want to thank Pam and her team here at Georgia Dev Center for going straight to years. Obviously, Holly, because she kept them straight and me. And Erin in the chamber. I know she's not going to thank herself. She'll thank her staff and everybody else, but she needs to be thanked as well. So here you go. Thanks.
Thank you everybody for coming. I wanted to spin off of what Mayor Lewis said. You know, he says that the board provides opportunities. Well, if you don't know, our Havelock Chamber of Commerce operates as a nonprofit, and I look at our job as letting the community know about those opportunities. So what that looks like is the businesses in Havelock invest in us as a nonprofit. It isn't just a membership fee. They're investing in what we're doing, and we're working really hard to make sure that all of Havelock knows all of the great stories, all of the great things that the city is doing, all of the opportunities, and all of the partnerships. We all know that Havelock runs on partnerships with our churches, with our schools, with our citizens, every program that's provided by the city. Partnerships are just so important. We've kicked off a lot of marketing going on with the Havelock Chamber recently. If you have the app, you probably got a push notification reminding you about today, so thank you for coming. If you don't have the app, of course the QR code is located on the back table. So that is a great new way that we are increasing the visibility of what the city and what our community is doing. So thank you to all of our chamber members, all of the businesses that invest in what we do and how we operate. With that being said, we have a board of directors. 5 of those are here tonight. So thank you to our chamber board of directors. They volunteer to serve. They are elected to oversee how the chamber operates, and we couldn't do what we do without them. Thank you to all of the candidates here tonight. You guys all spoke so well. I appreciate everybody coming out. Thank you to the citizens. You guys are investing in making educated decisions on election day. So good job being here, young folks being here, being taught how our city operates. We just cannot thank you enough. Again, partnerships and investing in our community. Thank you, everybody. Right now, I want to invite everybody to stay. All of the candidates and our mayor are going to be coming down. We have refreshments in the back. Mingle, stay, ask the questions that you didn't get to hear the answers to tonight. Be considerate of their time and other people standing around wanting to ask those same questions. Again, thank you, everybody. Caitlin, our marketing staff, has been doing Facebook Live. So this video has been live on Facebook tonight. The city has even posted it to their page. So if you want to go back and look at the remarks or tell somebody about something that was said, again, increasing our visibility in Havelock for all of our candidates. Yes, thank you for the reminder. Also on this table over here, our candidates have provided some of their information. So if anybody wants to take some home, you're more than welcome. Thank you. Thank you for our planning team, our committee, everybody that's invested time in tonight. So thank you guys for coming out.